and you're watching The Warm-Up, presented by your local Geico offices in Cypress, Katy, Spring, and Pearland. It's week 3 of Texas high school football, and let's see what we have on tap for Chevrolet's Inside High School Sports. While we obviously have a soft spot for any and all things warm-up related, it's certainly exciting that warm-up games are over for a couple of districts in the Houston area. That's right! District play kicks off this week in a handful of districts across the area, and that means the intensity gets ratcheted up another notch. Basically, like every Freddy Krueger movie. Did we mention tomorrow's Friday the 13th? Let's start on Thursday, however, when crosstown rivals Klein and Clyde Oak meet in our game of the week. And we're expecting another competitive, hard-fought matchup between the Panthers and the Bearcats. Side note, the only recognized spelling of Bearcat and Klein is with a K and not a C. The most important letter this week for the Bearcats, however, is D. Klein's young defense that returned just 3 starters has allowed an average of 38.5 points a game through the first 2 weeks. And the Bearcats will have to find a way to slow down Clyde Oak transfer wide receiver Dwight McLaughlin. McLaughlin played last year at Cedar Hill Trinity Christian and spent his sophomore season at New Caney. He's a game changer for Clyde Oak and already has racked up 203 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Panthers' first 2 games. We're inclined, get it, to say you should tune in to Chevy's Inside High School Sports Saturday morning on KHU 11 just for the highlights of that one. But we have a number of other big district matchups as well. Langham Creek and Cy Ranch open up District 14 6A action tonight. And if last year's contest is any indication, we're in for a wild one at Cy-Fair FCU Stadium. Langham Creek scored with 58 seconds to go to take a 24-17 lead. But the Mustangs saddled up and quickly scored on a Willie Eldridge 40-yard touchdown run to even the game up at 24 apiece. With 22 seconds remaining, that's when things spiraled out of control. Langham Creek couldn't control the ensuing kickoff, and Cy Ranch recovered the loose ball to take over deep in the Lobos territory. Elias Pino scored on the very next play, and the Mustangs completed one of the wildest comeback wins of the 2018 season. There's no doubt both Langham Creek and Cy Ranch will be fired up for this one tonight. Speaking of wild games, another 14 6A showdown this week certainly qualifies as well. The Wildcats of Tomball Memorial visit the Wildcats of Cy Woods Friday night at Pridgeon Stadium. Both of these programs advanced to the postseason last year. And while Tomball Memorial is off to a 2-0 start, Cy Woods is 0-2 and looking to get in the win column for the first time in 2019. Both of these offenses are capable of racking up points like a pinball machine. So yeah, we're telling you now, this one will be wild. Here's hoping all of you know what a pinball machine is. If not, ask your parents, or maybe your grandparents. Now, just because district play is underway for some teams, that doesn't mean there aren't any really good non-district clashes. Westfield has given up 2 points all year. That's right. How many fingers am I holding up? 1, 2. The Mustangs defense followed up a Week 1 shutout victory over Lamar with a 30-2 victory in Week 2 over A-Leaf Taylor. But the Westfield defense will get a bigger test this week as the mighty North Shore Mustangs come calling. North Shore bounced back from its season-opening loss to Katy with an impressive 38-7 win over Ridgepoint, in which junior quarterback Demetrius Davis accounted for 5 total touchdowns. Meanwhile, over at Mercer Stadium in Sugar Land, Spring meets Fort Bend Travis in a matchup of undefeated teams. Speaking of sugar, how sweet was this one-handed catch by Travis's Parker Washington last week? Of course, it was nominated as one of our Plays of the Week candidates this week. And don't forget, voting on our Play of the Week Twitter polls run until 8 p.m. Thursday evening. Spring is averaging 44 points a game so far this season, and the Lions will have to score plenty to keep pace with Washington and the Travis passing attack. Finally, there's a fun rivalry showdown Friday night at Traylor Stadium in Rosenberg as Terry takes on Lamar Consolidated. Lamar Consolidated has won its first 2 games this year by an average of 34.5 points per game, but Terry had controlled this rivalry with 4 straight wins over the Mustangs until Lamar Consolidated knocked off Terry 26-23 a year ago. We'll have highlights of all of these and plenty more from across the Houston area on Chevrolet's Inside High School Sports Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. on KHU11. We'll also catch up with the Texas City Stingerees and this week's Chevy Spotlight. And somebody will win this week's MVP bobblehead, just like Shadow Creek's Kyron Drones did last week. And with that, it's time for the Extra Point. We kick off this extra point attempt with one of the biggest stories in Texas. El Paso Eastwood and Plano took the field in Frisco last week, and a touching moment between these 2 schools. But what ties it to Houston is the Texans players showed their support for these 2 teams that reminded us all football is more than just a game.
This is DeAndre Hopkins, got the crew here. On behalf of the Texans, we want to let y'all know we stand for y'all, and thank y'all for keep fighting.
Like Hop said, the Texans are here. We all root for you.
Yeah, man, we just want to let you guys know we're proud of you for getting back on the field and giving your community something to root for.
Sometimes football means much more than what the scoreboard is, so keep fighting.
On this last point, we want to remind everyone that the Katy Tigers are on fire, beating another tough team in Atascocita last week. But that isn't why they're on the extra point. It is because no matter how old you get, there's always time to appreciate your mama, like the Tigers O-line did on Twitter. That's all we have for this week's episode. To follow all things inside high school sports, follow our social media accounts. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. That'll keep you in the loop on everything going on around the greater Houston area. Until the best 30 minutes of your sports weekend comes on Saturday at 8:30 a.m. on KHOU. That's Chevrolet's Inside High School Sports, hosted by Matt Musel. So have your coffee ready for your wake-up call Saturday morning. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Warm-Up, presented by your local Geico offices in Cypress, Katy, Spring, and Pearland. For more information or to get a quote, go to geico.com/Houston. I hope you're warmed up and ready for Week 3 of Texas high school football. I'm Ashlea Bullington, and we'll see you on the field.